Hey there folks, John here for Biddy Kong's Quest, and as most of you guys probably know, I do a lot of reproductions on the side, which if you don't know what a reproduction is, it's basically it's a reproduction of a video game, like an NES game or a Super Nintendo game, maybe even a Genesis game. This is a Mega Man Wily Wars, which never came out in the US, so I grabbed the ROM, dumped it, put it on a cart, and yeah, now I can play it on my Genesis. And it's something that I think is a little bit of a gray area for a lot of people, but for those of us that want to learn, or maybe you've got some bare games in your collection and you're like, hey, I've got this game and I want some way to display it. I want a box to put it in, but boxes can be as much or more than just buying the game itself off of eBay or whatever, because nobody threw away or nobody kept the boxes. So you might have some games sitting on your shelf that are just boxless and empty, and they look okay displaying them that way. But if you want to dress them up a little bit, I'm going to show you guys how to make your own NES or Super Nintendo or Genesis or whatever it is box with materials that are really, really close to what the real thing would have been. Now, before we get into that, the caveat here is please do not try to make direct reproductions of anything. Don't try to get a scan of the box for the game and make it so that it looks exactly one-to-one like that game. This is my reproduction box for Panic Restaurant. Obviously, it looks nothing like the original box. If you look it up online, you'll see that. But just in case that wasn't super clear, I actually put the word reproduction series on this box. That's how serious I am about this. Please, please, please do not make it any more difficult than it already is to find legitimate stuff. Now, but that caveat out of the way, I'm going to show you basically how to turn some everyday ordinary materials like this. This is a Cinnamon Toast Crunch box. And I'm going to show you how to make this into something like this. So, here we go. So here's everything you need to make your own reproduction box. Now, this is something that, I will say this caveat at the beginning, do not make your own box and then try to pass it off as real. These are really good looking, but they're, anybody knows they're looking at is going to know they're looking at a fake box. Because they're checking it pretty closely. That said, these look really great in cases, they look really great in sleeves, and honestly, they feel just like the original box, the way that they're made. So I had a lot of trouble at first trying to figure out, okay, what material can I use to actually imitate boxes from the NES era or whatever, and I found that cereal boxes are actually the best thing. The way that they're just the right thickness to be pretty much exactly what an old NES or Super Nintendo box would be, or Famicom in this case. I've tried a bunch of different things, a bunch of different pulp boards and stuff like that, and honestly, stuff from craft stores and all that, and honestly this just ends up working best. And obviously there's a big label on the outside of it, and you have to be careful because I don't know if you can see in the white area, you probably can't, but if you don't do something about this label, then that label will bleed through on the white areas of your repro. So we'll fix that. We have a solution. And again, this was the first repro I ever made. Figured I would go ahead and show it off in this video because it doesn't get much face time. Yeah, so they're better than this now. And I don't make those mistakes anymore. But anyway, so cereal boxes are awesome. That's what you want to use. Now, one warning on these, I would get a name brand cereal box, like a General Mills cereal or a Kellogg cereal or something like that. If you get like bargain basement, third party off brand, cereal that is named something weird and whatever, I find that they actually tend to have this like really thick waxy coating on them, which ends up causing a huge problem later on when you're trying to black out this label so you don't see it under your whites. So be really careful about that. Get like a name brand cereal box if you can. This is obviously the artwork. I designed it in Photoshop based on a template, and it's basically this one is pretty much a one-to-one recreation of the Rockman 4 Famicom artwork with some embellishments because it's for a tournament and it's a custom thing for them. So it's Rockman 4 Tournament Edition. You know, there are some different things that are on it that make it very clearly not a real box. You can see I've got my Biddy Kong logo right there. But basically, this is printed on a full sheet shipping label. And you can really print anything on a full sheet shipping label at any office supply store like Office Max or Staples. I have better luck with Office Max's labels. I always upload it online and just say print it on a full sheet label, and boom, this is what I get. Now I also, too, before I cut it, hit it with some Mod Podge. Mod Podge is really important because it's an acrylic sealer, and it basically just seals in the ink and makes sure that nothing smudges or cracks or anything when you're putting everything together. That's a really important step. Don't skip that. You're also going to need a butter knife. I'll explain why in a minute. You're going to need a Sharpie, and I actually use the Sharpie Magnums, which have these absolutely massive ends on them, and there's a really good reason for that. You'll see that in a minute. You're going to need some precision scissors. You can't use, for some of these edges and stuff that you have to cut, especially NES boxes, you can't use like just this big old pair of scissors. This is a precision small set of scissors. I think these were originally sewing scissors and they work perfectly. So make sure you have that. And then you're absolutely going to need a straight edge. These are like $2 at Walmart. You really, there's no reason you shouldn't have one of these, and it's going to make your life infinitely easier. So don't miss it. And that's about all you're going to need to put these things together. So let's get started. All right, so first of all, we're going to deal with our Cinnamon Toast Crunch box here. And I'm going to go ahead and trim this up to size so that I can see exactly how big I need it to be. We're going to get our scissors over here. And you don't have to cut exactly on the edges of the label yet. You're just trying to get a basic size so that you can fit it onto the cereal box and see how much you've got to prepare. And now I know I've got to, obviously I can't fit it on this way, so I'm going to have to go this way with it. I'm going to try to choose a part of the box that doesn't have any creases or anything. And now I know that I need to go down to about right there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start blacking out this box. Now you can cut the piece of the box off that you're going to use before you do this. It's totally up to you. I probably should have because it's like bending on me, but it's not really a big deal. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to just black out all of this label. That's probably about wide enough for what I'm doing. NES boxes are a little wider. SNES boxes are a little wider. Alright, and that's pretty good. Not too worried about that right there. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and cut out this box. I'll probably skip ahead here so you guys don't have to wait for me to sit here and cut it out. Alright, now we've got our two sides of boxes here. I went ahead and just cut out the other side and went ahead and did the Sharpie for that one too, just so you guys could see. And you need one cereal box per repro, unless you're doing Game Boy games, in which case sometimes if you get the really big boxes, you can get 2 repros out of one cereal box. But that said, this is about all we need to do. And I went ahead and waited for this one to dry. That's important. Don't stick it on there right after you you color it. Give it like 2-3 minutes to dry. Otherwise, what's going to happen is it's going to get the adhesive on the back of this like wet with ink, and it won't stick, which is obviously not what you want. That would be pretty bad. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to real carefully, and I'm actually, yeah, we're going to real carefully peel off the back of this adhesive. And one thing you want to do before you stick this on here, you need to make sure that this is absolutely clear of debris. If you have any debris on it, you're going to get a little bump right in the middle of your box. It's really annoying when everything else is perfect to have that little bump there. So there you go. So now we're going to do this. It's basically just a sticker. Just try to stick it on here. Center it on the black part. I'm going to do that right there. Boom. Make sure it's stuck real good. So just go over it with your hands a few times. And then is this dry? Yep, that one's dry too. Let's just go ahead and do the other one while we're at it. Alright, so you can, I don't know if you could hear that little creak there. That was, I didn't do it quite flat enough at the beginning, and it got a little bit of a bubble in it. So I had to kind of flatten that out. Be real careful, because if you force that bubble down, you can rip your box. Don't rip your box. Alright, so now these are on here real well. They're not going to go anywhere. So now it's time to use your little scissors. Again, you need precision scissors for this, and start cutting. And what's going to happen is, as you cut, you're going to have a steady hand here. I do everything that I do by hand. You can probably use a paper cutter for this if you want, but what I do like about using scissors is that as I cut, I'm compressing the edges of the label that's on top and the cardboard together, and basically creating a seal and making sure that they don't come off. One doesn't come off of the other, which is important because especially these edges right here, this is a flap edge right here that I'm doing. That's going to go in and out of the box. You don't want it catching and starting to separate the sticker from the cereal box, which again, I've made quite a few of these at this point. I do a lot of these for charity marathons and stuff like that. And I've never had an issue with anything separating. I don't think I've ever once had somebody tell me, hey, the box you sent me separated. And I've got several of these sitting on my shelf too that are 2-3 years old at this point. I haven't had any issues with them. Now, I will say, if you store this in a humid environment, which, if you are, then why are you storing your retro games in a humid environment anyway? You might have some separation issues there, I guess. I have to say I haven't tested that. So, and there you go. So this is our first section of box. Again, we're going to do the same thing to this other one right here. And I'm just going to fast forward. You guys kind of saw what I was doing right there. Okay, so now we've got our two boxes cut out. So should be pretty easy from here on out. This is where you're really going to need your straight edge. And then one of the things that I forgot to say earlier is you're going to need some double... Ooh, that's dirty. I need to just throw that piece away. But you're going to need some double-sided tape. And this is permanent double-sided tape. You're going to want to get the permanent stuff and not the non-permanent stuff. Just so that it sticks better. Because you're never planning on this being taken apart ever again anyway, so just do the permanent stuff and make sure that it sticks good for yourself or for whoever you're giving it to. I do commissions, so for clients, I want to make sure it's not going to fall apart for all kinds of stuff. So anyway, so this is again what what you'll end up with after you stick your sticker on and you cut it apart and everything else. So now. A lot of people, when they make repros like this, they have issues because when they fold stuff where it's supposed to be folded, they'll see the ink crack. They'll have these little white lines, and the reason why I brought out the Panic Restaurant one is specifically so I can show you. You can see along right there. I'll put it up there so you can. I know it's out of focus, but you can still see. There's a white line right there where it's a crack in the ink with the black. That's because when I did this, I didn't fold this the correct way, or I didn't perforate, or not perforate it, what's the word? I didn't compress it the way that I was supposed to when I did this, because again, this was one of my first ones, and I had never done it before, and I didn't know any better. But now I'm going to show you how to do it. It's real easy, but this is where you need that straight edge. So, I'm going to set this one to the side for just a second, and we're going to pull out our straight edge, and you're going to turn it so that your label side down. And this is where you want to be working on a really clean surface, because you don't want to muck up your label while you're doing this, because you got to push pretty hard. And you're going to go, and yeah, every template you look at, it's probably easiest just to do this by looking at templates online, because they'll all have guidelines in Photoshop. But there's different points that you have to make creases at, and you want to line up those different points with your straight edge. Again, check out the templates in Photoshop. You'll see exactly where you're supposed to do this. And after you do one or two, you'll know exactly what you're doing anyway. And you're going to hold down your straight edge pretty hard because it'll slide. And you're going to take the blunt end of the butter knife, so not the side with serrate on it, because you'll cut your box open. And you're just going to push down real hard and go right along that straight edge. Right there. And what that's going to do, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but what that's going to do is it's going to create this little line, and it will let you fold on that line. And because it's compressed right there, you see the ink will just bend right around rather than create that nasty white line. So I'm going to go through and do that for everywhere that I need to for this one. And then we will see what else we have to do, because we're almost done. So I'm going to do that for this. So now I'm going to be able to fold this along those creases. And you have to be careful with these little short sides. The short sides you can kind of mess up if you're not careful. So just go slow. Sometimes you might be able to brace it against the table, or this whatever surface you're working on, but that's also a little risky because you could end up bending your box too. So just be careful and go slow. You don't want to just take these and just jam them down, because if you do, and I'm going to show you what'll happen on this short side, just because you're not going to see it. You'll start to get these little, I don't know if you can see them because it's yellow, but you'll start to get little bitty creases in there. And what you don't want is you don't want any of those creases on one of the sides of the box that's going to be visible. So you got to be careful. Don't, just gingerly do it. So like this one, I'm just going to do it slowly, so I don't get any creases. And eventually, you'll get there. And the reason why you're going slow is because you're just stretching that label just a little bit at a time. Just a little bit at a time. If you stretch it too much too quickly, it'll rip. Just like anything. It's like pulling on a rubber band real hard and real fast. It'll snap. And so you end up with something like this. And I'm just going to do this side here real quick. And you should end up with something about like this. And this is 1/2 of your shell. Something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other side. Do the exact same thing, just creasing along the points. And again, I'll fast forward this so that you guys don't have to watch me do the whole thing. Okay. And now we have our two sides of our box. And so what they're going to do is, you can see right now the two big flaps are on the same side. I usually do it like this because it's easy. You just flip one side of it over, and then they should just fit together just like this. And that's how this is going to go together. That's how it's going to be oriented. Now, the easiest way to do this, I think, there's a couple different ways probably, but the easiest way to do this, I think, is to go ahead and just take one side of it. Take your double-sided tape, and I'm going to take this dirty part off here. Get rid of that. And we're going to basically get a big enough piece for this entire side. We're going to bring this in and tape it right on here. And you want to make sure that you get a long enough piece that it covers the whole side. And then all you're going to do is you're going to take this in here, and then we're going to stick them together. If you go too far, or if you get it wrong and you push down real hard, again, this is permanent tape, so you have a hard time getting it off of there. And now, I have some exposed permanent tape here, because this side it doesn't go far enough down to cover the whole thing. So what you may want to do is you may want to put a piece of Scotch tape just over there, over the top right here of this permanent tape. And what that'll do is that'll just keep this from sticking into the whatever insert you decide to put in here, and causing issues and maybe ripping the box apart, by accident. So you need to be careful about that. And that'll also give you the added benefit of just making this a little bit more secure. So there's that. And now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay. And then you're just going to fold this over. Hopefully you did it straight the first time. Otherwise your box is going to be a little crooked. Then we're going to do the same thing with our tape. You're going to need something long. So I use a little spudger that I use for actually removing EEPROMs from circuit boards. You can use something else, whatever you want. But basically we're going to do the same thing with the tape. And what you're going to do is you're going to take whatever it is that you're using, stick the tape just a little bit on the end of it. Then you're just kind of going to feed it in here. And then you can just kind of flatten it out with your spudger. And then do the same thing on the other side. There you go. Now your box is together. Not going to come apart. You can go and fold your flaps down, and now you should be able to just fold your box end down. It should go right in. Yeah, just like that. And then that should go in like this. And if you shaped your box right, you're gonna know, because it'll fit just like that. And now we have a repro box, and you'd never know that it was originally a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And that's it, man. There you go. So it looks really nice. Again, this is a Famicom box, so it's a little smaller than an NES box, but a Famicom cart will fit inside it. And you know what? If you wanna make some padding or make a little drawer, there's templates on those for that online for that as well. But honestly, you can just get some craft foam from the craft store, and you can cut a little insert, and it'll work great just for this to keep it nice and secure in there. So that's it. That's how you do this. So let's wrap it up. All right, so there you go. We've got our Rockman 4 box here. Obviously, this is the one that I just built, not the one that I showed you earlier, even though they probably look functionally the exact same on camera. But this, yeah, it feels exactly like an actual NES box. And you can hear, I already built an insert, which you can just build out of like foam. And went ahead and threw the game in here as well. So now we've got a fully functional box. This is the exact dimensions that a Famicom box would have been, so if you get Famicom box protectors, it'll just slide right in, and it will look amazing on your shelf. So that's about it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. Keep an eye on the channel. We got some more stuff coming here pretty soon, and I will see you next time.